Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's review of the second round of the 2022 Six Nations Championship. Some very, very big results, and only one team still on track for a Grand Slam, and that is France, after they managed to beat Ireland 30 points to 24 in what could already have been the best game that we will see this season in the Six Nations. Some huge results. Wales getting a victory over Scotland, England returning back to normality with a thumping of Italy, and quite a lot that we can sort of pick apart from what we saw over the last sort of 2 days of rugby. And it does open up what should be a very interesting championship. Before we look at the results, the performances, and what we can sort of learn and look forward to, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, in terms of the results, everything started on Saturday with a victory for Wales as they beat Scotland 20 points to 17. And it's amazing how things shift so quickly. You know, a week ago, Wales, especially the Welsh fans, were in despair, and there was a lot of critique towards the Wales Rugby Football Union as to what they were doing, and a lot of criticism and saying this team's not good enough, the administration's not good enough, they're not making competitive, they're never going to be competitive, their team in disarray after they got completely taken apart against Ireland. On the contrary, lots of people suddenly talking about, is this Scotland's year to finally get a Six Nations, after they beat England, And I think that Scotland have got a side that can beat most teams when they play well. I think that they've got a very impressive side when it all comes together. However, what we saw was a Welsh side that came out and they'd done their homework. They knew what they needed to do to beat Scotland. And they were very good at nullifying a lot of Scotland's best sort of aspects. And as a result, Scotland never managed to really settle. It was 14-14 at half time. It was the game was on a knife edge from beginning to end. And for Wales to respond after going down to Ireland and beat Scotland, it was just a bit of a reminder that they still are a quality side. They are the 2021 Six Nations Championship. So the criticism they get is sometimes quite difficult to understand, or at least the extent of which the criticism they get. And then we saw France versus Ireland. Now, we knew that this was going to be a huge match in the context of the Six Nations. Both of these sides had bonus point victories in the first round. So this was very much a case of one team's Grand Slam dream comes to an end, and it was going to be Ireland. Now, I thought that France in the first rugby blew Ireland away in almost every facet of the game, however, couldn't really sort of make that count in terms of the scoreboard pressure that they mounted. 90 points to 7 does sound like quite a comfortable lead, but if you looked at the performance, you thought that France were all over Ireland and that they should have really been in a better position. However, Ireland fought back really well in the second half, and they suddenly gave themselves a chance. And there's a bit of an interesting decision when they went for the 3 points to make it from 21 points to 24, being 27-21 down at the time. And a lot of people criticize the decision, but at the end of the day, it's test match rugby. Now, you, first of all, it's no guarantee if you're kicking to the corner, you're going to score a try. Whereas at 21 points to 27, 24 points to 27, you are then a penalty away from leveling the scores. So I don't think you can criticize the decision at all. I think it's a decision that was made, and I think it was the right decision. What didn't help is that France then, had a big siege of attack where they eventually conceded a penalty, and then France kicked the 3 points, which suddenly took them too far away, and the Irish just couldn't quite get over the line. This means that the French Grand Slam is potentially still on the cards. They will still have to beat Wales and England, as well as Scotland. So still quite a lot for them to do, but I think it's a Welsh side. I mean, it's a French side where, again, on their day, I think they can beat any team in the world. They've got so many exciting players, so much talent, and such a good system. Their issue has always been consistency, being able to produce those sort of performances week in, week out, and at the highest level all the time. And then finally, we didn't expect to see Italy beating England, but we were kind of hoping that we saw positives in the first match against Italy. And I think everybody, sitting there, a lot of people sort of fed up for Italy and saying that it's time for them to be removed from the Six Nations, which I think it's a difficult one, because you understand that they haven't won a game here in a very long time. But for the first time, I'm seeing positives within Italian rugby. And if you look at the under 26 nations, Italy actually beat England 6-0 on Friday night. So I do think that this next generation of Italian players are going to be the generation that can push Italy rugby that sort of next step up. But we didn't see it on Sunday, unfortunately. England back to close to their best, 33 points to 0, very comfortable performance. Marcus Smith looked very good. Harry Van Dijk looked pretty good as well. Some very nice performances there, sort of very much putting themselves back on the map. And it's not at the end of the day, you can lose a game in the Six Nations, still go on to win it. So England are very much not out of it. If we have to look at the table, to see how it also stacks up. This is currently how the table is looking. So France on the top, they've collected 2 wins out of 2, the only side so far. As a result, they sit on the top of the table with 9 points. In second place, already England. So, a victory against France, for example, and suddenly they could be in around the top of the table. Ireland, whilst they have lost a game, still 6 points, the tied second. Scotland on 5 points, Wales on 4, Italy on 0. So, whilst France are the early frontrunners, there aren't that many games in Six Nations, but you can often afford to be able to lose one game and still go on to win it. It doesn't have to be a Grand Slam victory every single tournament. So the big match is going to be the 1-2 at the moment. It's going to be France versus England. That will potentially define the Six Nations as well. The likes of an Ireland, Scotland. If Scotland can beat Ireland, if Scotland can beat France, for example, Scotland can still go all the way. One loss doesn't mean they are out of it. However, if you're thinking, right, well, we beat England, that was one of the toughest games. Ireland and France are your next 2 toughest games in the current form that they're all in. So to lose to Wales, and now, Scotland now need to know what they have to do. They have to go and they have to beat Ireland and France. And then obviously Italy, which is, often just a given, but might not be. But let me know what you thought about the round of Six Nations down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.